The Siren Isles patch just launched, and with it we got a whole bunch of goodies. A new zone, some catch-up gear for ults, and more importantly, a new powerful cantrip ring. I spent some time on stream yesterday grinding out the ring to see what it's all about. To give some context, the big ticket item and the major selling point of this patch is this new ring, called Circe's Circlet. And it's supposed to be like a relatively customizable increase to player power, and the ring has 3 sockets and certain special gems from the Siren Isles that are going to be able to go in each slot. Some are proc effects that deal damage or healing, and some are just direct secondary stat gains. All throughout testing, this ring was, I guess for like a lack of better terms, utter dog shit. Within the last week or so, Blizzard has cranked up the tuning knob, not only on the gem effects, but also the base starting item level. The awkward caveat though is that Blizzard has decided to timegate the ring, meaning that item level upgrades and certain gems cannot be unlocked right away. From my understanding, new gems will unlock each week when completing certain events. Also, each week players can return to the Isle to get a small item level upgrade that they can apply to their ring, which will increase the effects for both the base stamina as well as the gemstones that are socketed. The entire quest line and additional events took me a little over an hour to complete and landed me with 4 unique gems. This included a gem that provides additional secondary stats to my character's highest secondary stat based on the raw numerical value. Another gem has a chance to heal allies. Another gem does nature damage, and lastly, a gem that grants secondary stats to allies. Now, these are only 4 of the 12 total gems, but the big question that I had was, is this any good? If I'm not mistaken, as of right now for most players, the answer is probably no. The item level is too low if you already have somewhat of an equally powerful ring. Also, with the time-gated gems, chances are that they're not the ones your character is going to actually want or prefer. Regardless of this, I wanted to take this ring for a test drive. First, let's talk loss. When you're equipping this ring, you are sacrificing upwards of 4,000 secondary stats. For Brewmasters, I personally don't think this matters as much as pretty much any other class because we're mostly critical strike based and verse based. We're already hitting a point where we're hitting diminishing returns on our critical strike as it is, and versatility can only go so far. Because of this, Brewmasters have always favored cantrip effects like this over secondary stats a lot of the time. Something that's also very interesting is the ability to target specific stats with this gem effect. As the tooltip states, it grants 2200 roughly of your highest secondary stat, but what's funny is that it snapshots your current stats. So what you can do is you can equip a bunch of critical strike gear, equip the ring, so the ring gives you critical strike, and then you can swap the gear around, giving you maybe more verse or more mastery or more haste. In this case, we're swapping back to verse. This will essentially lock in the stat you choose. For players looking to min-max their stat values, this is a fun little trick that you can exploit. The next effect is the damage proc. Back in Dragonflight, we saw a similar effect on the infamous Onyx Amulet. I wanted to see if this was going to be somewhat comparable damage, especially since we're sacrificing so much secondary stats. I guess to summarize, this gem in single target seems to be extremely strong. It's dealing anywhere between like 4 to 6% of my overall damage. This does proc about the same amount in AoE and has a cap on how often it can proc. In larger pulls, it's only doing roughly 1.5 to 2% of my damage. I'm assuming as the item level progresses, this might be better, but as of right now, my feelings are that it's great in single target at its current item level, but kind of mid in AoE. Most likely, you'll want to run this in Raid, starting this week, but it's really up to you if you want to use it for Mythic Plus strictly for damage. But the last effect is what's pretty rad. It has a chance to make your allies wet, restoring health. At first, I thought this was going to be extremely weak, but after a few dungeon runs, this was doing a significant amount of my overall healing. We're seeing numbers between 9 and 11%, which is comparable to a trinket like Swarmlord's Authority. What's cool about this effect as well is it does heal your allies. About 40% of the healing was directed at allies, while 60% was directed at me, so it could be nice for some of those more healing intensive encounters. It's also worth noting that we do benefit from Celestial Fortune based off of this heal. Because of these 2 effects, I do believe Brewmasters will want to start using this almost immediately. Anyways, that's really all I have to say about it at this current point. Hopefully, as more gems become available, it'll be more interesting to talk about. But as usual, let me know what you guys think down below. And as always, I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.